So an LA developer has lost $1.1 billion of their investment portfolio. Hi guys, welcome back. Today is Thursday, January 18th and of 2024. And this is a really interesting thing that's happened. Apparently Neil Shekhter, who is a prominent LA landlord, and he's behind WS Communities, he's lost about half of his firm's portfolio to the lenders. Now, apparently he signs deeds in lieu of foreclosures on 28 multifamily buildings. Basically, he has signed over the deeds of these properties to the lenders who he owes money to before this goes through a foreclosure situation. So that's normally not something that happens a huge amount. And this is a way to relieve his $1.1 billion worth of unpaid debt. And this is according to property controls. The lenders, Madison Realty Capital, who's a New York based lender, they took over the bulk of the portfolio. They got 20 properties from that, and Lightstone Capital from New York as well, and Hackney Capital are the other ones, and they took over three, and Hankey took over six different buildings. So it's a big blow to the firm. They owned about 2,200 units across LA County, and that was recorded in 2020. And these are tied to more than 870 units. So, you know, probably half in terms of value, 870 from 2,200, so slightly below all of the units they have. And they've sold 200 units since then, leaving them with 1,100. So literally 50%, it sounds like, is what they've liquidated or given away. Not given away. WSC CEO Scott Walker and Shekhter apparently declined for comment, and Hankey Capital declined for comment. Madison Realty had not provided a comment when this article was written, and Lightstone did not reply for a comment. So no one's commenting on this situation. This is Deeds-in-Lieu generally a faster alternative to your normal foreclosure proceedings, where the borrower is trying to find someone to come in and take over the debt, and it's, you know, extensions on the debt, you know, finding a kind of mutually beneficial agreement. But this would allow the borrower to effectively keep ownership and try and find a way to kind of get this situation resolved. Obviously, when you're doing debt in lieu, you're just handing over these actual titles to the lenders. So it's a fast way of dealing with it, but obviously you're kind of just giving up a lot of your assets. So the deeds in lieu, sorry, not debt in lieu. Majority of the loans, apparently, now this is what's interesting, and this is what I think we may see more and more of. They were floating rates. So that means instead of locking in a rate and saying, right, I'm going to pay 5% on this debt that I have for the next 20 years, maybe it's 5 years, like more commercial loans are. This is a floating loan, which means it tracks the base rate. And obviously, in the last year, we have seen massive increases. We've seen 0.25% at a time going up in the Fed's base rate, which means those mortgages were 2%, you know, 3, 4 years ago. They've now gone up to 8%. So it's 4 times what you'd be paying in terms of the interest on that debt. And if someone had a huge amount of debt, which it sounds like Schechter's company did, then that is obviously something that they're not going to be able to pay, or not obviously, but it seems like they're not going to be able to pay that. Yeah, so it's mid 2022s is when they went up. And then apparently the source said some of his loans went from 7.5%. So they was paying a much higher rate than your residential to 12%. So almost doubled in a year. So apparently his liquidity was disappearing. He was unable to keep his loans current, hence going into debt, or further debt where he couldn't pay the interest, and then having to basically give away these properties to the lenders. So also refinancing loans have become more difficult. Obviously, there are less lenders potentially giving out loans on these properties, definitely similar interest rates or at low interest rates. So therefore, finding someone to take over that debt is not something that he could have done for a more fixed term. And it says they've had Madison Realty, one of the lenders, has handed out $1 billion in debt since 2020. That was mostly to finance these developments by Shekhter in Santa Monica, according to records. and it shows Madison now owns 6 development sites in Santa Monica and 14 apartment complexes. So obviously the development was going in for 6 new buildings, but also so they've taken over that, which means they've kind of got investment. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that, whether they try and sell those to another investor or another developer who's going to build those sites out, or they do it themselves, or they just hold them right now until we have a better economic outlook. And there's a 16-story tower that they also own at 6401 Wilshire Boulevard, and that's in Beverly Grove. So a pretty prime market there. Apparently, yeah, so some of the loans or some of the properties have already been refinanced. So I think it says Madison has refinanced them with $250 million worth of debt from Hankey Capital. So they're kind of selling debt between each other now, it seems. So that's kind of the main kind of overview of this. It's kind of something I think that we will potentially see more and more of. I don't know how many developers out there have floating rates and are going to be seeing that increase in the debt that they're going to be having in that drastic time frame. Obviously, a lot of these loans could be 5 years, and so we're looking at maybe what 2022, 2027, which is still 2, 3 years away. That could be a time where if we don't see the rates come down, that we could see some real issues then with the kind of standard loans that have been taken out. But if there are quite a few borrowers who have taken out flexible loans who are floating on the base rate, they could be in some serious trouble now, and we'll start to see that come through in the next year or two. And also, that does that mean that we see a massive oversupply of those multi-unit residential and commercial buildings which come to the market, hence reducing the actual prices of them as the demand remains the same or even drops off itself. Anyway, guys, I thought that was an interesting one for today. Hope you guys find it interesting as well. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Hope you guys are good wherever you are, and I will speak to you all soon. Goodbye.